previously, and we were just getting everything ready to start this meeting. Call to order, please.
Mr. Rich?
Here.
Ms. Hutchinson?
Here.
Mr. Mehta?
Here.
Mr. Davis? Mr. Socio?
Here.
Ms. Guadagnino?
Here.
Mayor Womack?
Sunshine notice, please.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, PL 1975, specifying the time, date, and location by posting a copy of the notice on the municipal building, municipal website, providing a copy of the annual notice schedule to the official newspapers of the township, and is on file in the municipal clerk's office.
Thank you. Harlow, can you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thank you, everyone, for joining us. First up, we have meeting minutes for approval. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rich?
I abstain from voting.
Ms. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mr. Mehta?
Yes.
Mr. Socio?
Yes.
Ms. Guadagnino?
Yes. Ordinance for introduction, first reading.
Ordinance number 25-25, first reading and introduction, amending and supplementing Chapter 227, parking for the handicap of the Code of the Township of North Brunswick.
Is there a motion to, what am I motioning?
Introduce.
Is there a motion to introduce ordinance 2525 for first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mr. Mehta?
Yes.
Mr. Socio?
Yes.
Ms. Guadagnino?
Yes. We are now at the consent agenda. Is there anyone on the council who would like anything removed from the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull
Yes.
item R, Council President. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
One at a time.
Okay. Item number 35911.25, letter T.
Item T.
So I have item R from Councilman Socio and item T from Councilman Rich off consent.
Do I?
Any other items to be pulled off consent?
No.
Okay. Now, is there a motion to approve consent agenda, specify what they are?
Point of order.
Is there a motion? Oh,
Point of order.
Sir,
Are you pulling the other thing?
Yeah, that
Or not?
was, I just got a motion to approve.
R and T.
that weren't.
T?
R and T.
Oh, you did say T. I'm sorry. I
did.
apologize.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Yes. So let's make sure we're all on the same page. So there's been a request to pull item R, Resolution 357-1125 off of consent, and a request to pull item T, Resolution 359-11.25 off consent. Now we need a motion to approve consent agenda items A through Q and S.
do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through Q and S?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mr. Mehta?
Yes.
Mr. Socio?
Yes.
Ms. Guadagnino?
Yes. In regards to item R and T,
Let's handle those separately, please.
okay. Item R, is there anyone who would like to discuss item R?
Well, yes, if I may, Council President, I know we had a brief discussion about this resolution up here on the dais. We had tabled it in order to have further discussion, which I do not believe that we had. So that being said, in order to have further discussion on this, I'd like to move to table this resolution.
For further discussion?
Excuse me?
For further discussion?
Yes, table item R, yes.
There's a motion on the floor to table item R, Resolution 357-11.25. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Rich?
No.
Ms. Hutchinson?
No.
Mr. Mehta?
No.
Mr. Socio?
Yes.
Ms. Guadagnino?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve Resolution 357-11.25, since the motion to table has failed?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mr. Mehta?
Yes.
Mr. Socio?
No.
Ms. Guadagnino?
Yes.
Item T.
Item T. Is there a discussion for item T?
Yes. I would like the motion to table item T for further discussion at the workshop tonight.
We have a motion for Resolution 359-1125 to table for further discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mr. Mehta?
Yes.
Mr. Socio?
Yes.
Ms. Guadagnino?
Yes. Item T will be discussed and will be voted on at a future meeting. Are there any reports from the mayor, council, and township officials? Anyone? Richard?
I have nothing.
Nothing? Nothing? Okay.
Well, I could, I'll say something about the election.
Great, thank you.
Election day is tomorrow. It is the general election, and I'd like to read where the polls are. So if you are in District 1, 3, and 6, the poll, your polling location is Parsons School. District 2 and 19 is Judd School. Districts 4, 10, and 12 is Livingston Park School. Districts 5, 15, and 18 is John Adams School. Districts 7 and 13 is the high school. Districts 8, 14, and 16 is Linwood School. Districts 9, 20, and 22 is Firehouse Number 3 on Cousins Lane. Districts 11, 25, and 27 are the new middle school on Renaissance Boulevard. District 17 and 23 is the Adams AC. District 21 is the Society Hill Clubhouse. District 24 is Governor Point Clubhouse 1. And District 26 is Governor Point Clubhouse Number 2. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Russo. Usually on election day, the day before election day, we like to have a timely meeting, but it is now time for public comment, the public portion of our meeting. If anyone would like to be heard in the public portion of this meeting, please come up to the microphone and state your name and let us know where you live.
Good evening. I want to congratulate code enforcement for the one-year anniversary on the following locations. 497 Georges Road is still out. I don't know to what. The guy's cleaning it up. He's been cleaning it up for years, and it doesn't look like it's getting any movement. The for sale signs are as big as a postcard. 886 Livingston Avenue, they removed the cars, the vehicles, the dumpsters are still in the back, the garbage is still laying around, the grease can is still there. That's half done. On 984 Bergen Avenue, trailer, the dumpster, storage unit, pickup truck, that was supposed to be in compliance on 6/30/25. Stuff is still there. Is it legal or illegal? Roseland Place, 12 Roseland Place, the cars still are parked on the front lawn. And 777 Adams Lane, was reported in January, and so far, absolutely nothing's been done, said, or anything else about that property. The sign on Finnegan's Lane, on the corner of Finnegan's and 27, I took down 5 signs, I left one up. It's still up, and along with the fireworks signs that are currently there. And I don't know, the site triangle, the one that supposedly was fixed, if you're facing Route 27, I didn't have the address on a house to the right where code enforcement went over there and told the guy to clean it up. I was looking at the house on the left. Now you're facing Route 27, the house is to the left. There's a large green area, there's a white fence, and the house is on the other side. The branch is hanging out onto the vision of Route 27. You can't see cars coming down. That's the one that's the problem, not the one they forced the guy to clean. And that's about it. I'd like to get a report as to update on everything I just asked about, and I'd like to get it cleaned up before Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nassis.
Hi, I'm Kathy Moravisic. I was here 2 weeks ago regarding the rat problem I'm having. I reside at 1442 Columbia, which is behind 1453 Jersey Avenue. And I'm here because, obviously, we still have the rats. But there was a couple things. After the last meeting 2 weeks ago, Mr. Ritz, said he was going to email paperwork. So I reminded him a day or two later. He sent it over because I know he was quoting a few things from the county health inspector's report, but it was failed to be brought up that according to, from the county health department paperwork, that the State Department of Health Warehouse Division had told the county that they were operating unlicensed. And I don't know why that was left out of the meeting 2 weeks ago, and I don't know what they're unlicensed of, but my concern there is they've been operating now supposedly a couple years unlicensed. Maybe if they were licensed appropriately, in whatever that may be, and had the proper inspections that go along with licensing, this rat issue may not have occurred. So that kind of leads to being told 2 weeks ago that yes, everyone was told it was toys, and it turns out that there's a lot of food product, and no one was aware of that. Is it true then that basically when I said to Mr. Ritz, like, okay, so that didn't make a difference if they lied? And he said no. But does it? I mean, so there's nobody in the township that knows really what's going on in these warehouses, especially the ones that are bordering residents? Not only is that a danger to us homeowners if we're that close, 3 feet off my property line, but in general, if no one is making sure these warehouses are licensed and fully knowing what's in them, that's even putting our first responders at a huge risk if there's ever a fire. Or just in general daily living, there could be chemicals, there could be things in there that, there could be a lot of dangers lurking besides rats. So I wanted to bring that up. And also with the fencing, I know I would like that to be revisited if zoning and code enforcement can potentially make a different fence, have them put up a different fence. When I went back into records, I requested some open public records. At one time, in I think 65 or 68, they were initially going to put a 10-foot like brick wall. And then I guess by 71, they decided against that. And Maltese said they wanted to put a chain link fence instead with barbed wire. And the township said you could do the chain link fence, no barbed wire, and it must be like a vined. There must be vines all over the chain link, I guess, to make it more aesthetically appealing. And apparently Maltese didn't listen anyway. The chain link fence was there, but there was barbed wire when they were specifically told in resolution, no barbed wire. And there, to my knowledge, was never any vines to make it more aesthetically appealing. But we know so much more now in 2025 that to have a chain link fence that I approached Mr. Ritz in 2016 about it falling apart and the barbed wire and my son getting cut on it because it was rusted, and he told me we can't make them do anything with the fence. Then when this new business came in and I approached the subject, even with the rats, he emailed me back telling me that they could not force them to do their fencing to medicate the problem, which I think he meant mediate, that they could only do that voluntarily. But looking back into the resolutions and stuff, code enforcement can make them do something different with the fencing.
So if I remember correctly, Mr. Gordon had mentioned that if we changed the code, and please correct me if I'm wrong, they would be grandfathered in. So if we had changed, if the zoning or planning board agrees to make the changes in the fence requirements, they would not be required because they're grandfathered in. Am I?
That's correct, Council President.
So us homeowners don't get any grandfathering because in the paperwork it says chain link fence, no barbed wire, and have vines on it.
So that I would have to look into. I don't have the answer because this is the first I'm hearing about that, so I can't.
Yeah, I just
answer
got all
that
the
right
records
now.
emailed to me today. I could email them to everybody. I got them through open public record. But I'm just saying the fencing that's there does not look like what they were told they had to do back in 1970 or 71.
Okay.
Nothing like they were told. And there's barbed wire that's hanging that apparently should have never have been there. And I understand the whole grandfather thing, but it also says too, at the time in 1970 or 71, that building was not going to be a nuisance, it wasn't going to be a detriment. And it is a nuisance and a detriment now. So I understand that they're grandfathered under certain things, but us homeowners are not grandfathered to anything.
Well, we'd have to find out that. Did you have anything to say, Mr. Ritz?
On the second item first, regarding the fence, I'm more than happy to engage the owner on the fence topic. I'm going to have to go back, quite honestly, to look at my notes and the history over the fence as it relates to the barbed wire, because we do not permit barbed wire. In our previous conversations many years ago, when Maltese was still there and you were submitting complaints about the Maltese property, we did violate them on multiple occasions. We issued violations to Maltese when they still owned it. I'm going to have to go back because I honestly don't remember. I would be surprised if I didn't address the barbed wire. You're clearly indicating it isn't done.
No, it's hanging in a lot of spots.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
It's hanging off in
In
all-
spots, okay.
Yeah.
So that's simple. I could certainly violate them, and we can require to them to remove the remaining barbed wire. That's easy. The resolutions that she's referencing are things that I provided her through an open public records request, which will include the original resolutions from 1965, 1968, and 1971 with Maltese. We'll go back and look at them, but again, certainly I am more than willing to meet with the owners regarding the fence. They generally have to maintain and provide a reasonable quality fence, so I'm happy to do that. Going back to your first point regarding the state license, all I can tell you is that I have no official correspondence or engagement at all referencing this supposed non-license that they don't
It
have.
was in the paperwork you emailed me from the county health.
Well, the county the county indicated of their own action that they notified a corresponding agency at the state.
Right, the New Jersey
For the
Department of Health.
Division of Health as it relates to industrial developments. I'm not familiar with that agency. I don't know what the licensing requirement is or was, or if that's true, or if it's accurate. I'm just expressing.
Right, I'm just saying, it was on that paperwork that New Jersey Department of Health Warehouse Division responded back saying that they were unlicensed and they will look into that warehouse.
Okay,
So nobody here in town follows the licensing of warehouses.
no, I don't know what that license is, and that wouldn't be uncommon. So for an example, and as a matter of explanation, there are people in all sorts of fields in the town and in other towns that require licenses. So if you do nails, you require a license from the state. If you're a hairdresser, you
Right.
require a license from the state. If you do other things, if you're a veterinarian, you require a license from the state. The township would have absolutely no knowledge whatsoever in a business in North Brunswick if every individual working at those private businesses had the required licenses that the state requires.
Right.
There's no nexus between what the state requires and what the town would be aware of. Now,
So
if
that
there-
goes back to then you not knowing what's in warehouses in our town.
As I indicated at the last meeting, that's correct, because the township doesn't control a product that a warehouse ships and receives. The same analogy that I offered is that the township can approve a building only for a restaurant use. The township would not be aware and would have no control over whether or not the township sold Indian food, Italian food, Greek.
Right, but it would still be food.
It would still be food.
Right.
The warehouse.
But you're saying you don't know what's in the warehouse. Wouldn't that be putting our firemen and our police in danger if that warehouse, any warehouse,
No.
goes up in flames? What if it's flammable?
No, so the warehouse is required to maintain a fire sprinkler system, and our fire marshal inspects and collects sprinkler reports that are designed for warehouse distribution buildings. And that capacity and that water flow and that demand is designed, there's a standard for a warehouse distribution space. And so they submit those documents today to demonstrate and prove to the township, and it's inspected annually, it's tested annually, that they have sufficient fire prevention or fire retardant capability to address a fire for an industrial warehouse.
I understand that. I'm just saying it's kind of disheartening to know that residents that live this close to warehouses, that we never knew that no one knows what's going on inside them.
Director Pataglia.
If there's hazardous material stored in a warehouse, they have to notify the township, they notify OEM of any hazardous material or inflammable, excessive flammable material that's in the building. So we do have, as far as you're concerned, with the safety of the firefighters and anybody that brings the building, we do have knowledge of that. Okay. So, like Michael said, they could be storing toys or they could be storing baby bottles. We don't get involved in what they have or what they ship, but any hazardous material the township is aware of.
I'm going to find out myself because you brought it up and I want to understand for my own knowledge, but I just want to clarify. Have you contacted Middlesex County Health and asked them about that state license and what that means, and did they?
I didn't know if I was privy to that, but I did just file paperwork for the OPRA for the state health.
Okay. For everyone's interest and knowledge, I will look into it. We're closed tomorrow. I'm here Wednesday. I'm out the rest of the week, but I will try to make an effort on Wednesday to at least find out from the county what the nature of that license is. There are some licenses that are simply a license and a fee to operate that don't come with any other
Well, the only thing
regulation.
that I guess sparked my interest is since the state did make an appearance out there, there has been no shipping and receiving and nothing going on.
Okay,
Plus a lot of exterminators and,
okay.
there has been a
For everyone's knowledge, I will seek to clarify on Wednesday, and I'll share exactly what that license is that was missing. But again, sometimes it's just simply a registration and a fee that the state collects. It doesn't, okay, I will try to find out. Thank you.
I think we're all interested to know what that is. Would anyone else like to be heard in public hearing? Is there a motion to close the public portion of the meeting? Oh. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Gilbert Francis. I live at 2 Woodland Avenue. I don't know if it's District 1, 3, 14, something like that. I came to address Livingston Avenue, Georges Road, and that part of the North Brunswick community. I think there are ways that we could improve aesthetically as well as business-wise what's going on there. I don't think that the heart of North Brunswick should be a Costco. I think it should be where there are small local businesses, like when there was a violin string factory down Georges Road, etc. So I proposed that, and I thought of a name, the North Brunswick Business Alliance, if we could work with the council to problem solve so that we can do beautification projects on Livingston Avenue. There are no trash cans on Livingston Avenue right now. Me and 2 business owners are paying for them because the litter has gotten so bad. And that's just one item out of a lot of things. I also want to thank your Public Works because there's a tremendous amount of graffiti in Livingston that you guys cleaned up right away, and that was very nice to see. And just as a reference, I went to North Brunswick Township High School. The president and I share 3 alma maters, Linwood, NBTHS, and Cornell. We share the same city, and Mac gave me one of my first scholarships for college. So I'm invested in North Brunswick, and I would like to see some sort of committee where we could help you guys problem solve. Everyone has issues with something, but democracies suffer together. We figure stuff out together. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could leave your contact information with us, and then we can see what we can do and work on that. We have different committees in town, so maybe that's something that's possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to be heard in public hearing? May I have a motion to close the public portion of the meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Benson, would you like to talk about the Halloween contest?
Thank you, Council President. I'm going to invite Councilman Socio to join me as he is the liaison to our Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. Thank you, Councilman Socio. So over the last month, the Department of Parks, Rec, and Community Services has been hosting activities through our community. We have the Boo Crew out judging house decorations. We served over 400 children at Community Park with a wonderful Halloween event. And then our staff was engaged with Halloween events. It was tremendous camaraderie in the building. Everyone was diligently working throughout the event, but it was great to see the festivities. So Councilman Socio, I'm going to ask you to help me award the departments.
So if anyone did come in the building on Friday, and I did drop by for a minute, it was it was a fun atmosphere. A lot of the employees are dressed up in costumes, and the departments gussied up their office areas. It was pretty cool, actually. So we have a bunch of first, second, and third place winners. Why don't we go from third place down to second? That's kind of more climatic, if you will. So the 2025 Office Costume Contest, we would like to congratulate our third place winners. That's Department of Finance, Water, and Tax. So Cavell, if you can come up and take your department's award and ask you to please stay up if you don't mind. Cavell, when we ask you to stay up, it means stay up here. Oh, and there's photos. So for those of you that are here in the room, you can see that, and I'm assuming that that's probably being live cast on our cable channel. Our second place award winner goes to the municipal court, and since you collect money for the court, we'll give that to you. Sure. With that, all right, congratulations to the court. And our winners, the overachievers, holy crap, what did it take you from like July to start with all the decorations, or your costumes, I should say? We'll get to the decorations after. But our first place winners goes to the municipal clerk's office. So, Lisa. And Monica. Oh, and that's for their efforts and villain touch. So, there you go. All right, here. Now I got to do a whole big spell on you. No, I'm kidding. Here, go ahead. Oh, Steve's taking a photo. Congratulations. I'm going to be coming back up here in a second anyway. So, we had a pumpkin decorating contest, which was very exciting. So our third place winner, the mayor's office and the business administrator's office, for their hard work and caring nature. So Justine, would you like to come up? And that's their pumpkin right there, the Care Bears. Okay. Our second place winner is the records department for their creativity and happy nightmares. So that's Joe. Joe, police records. I was kind of wondering whether it was police records, clerk records. I mean, we have records everywhere in this building. And that's their decoration up there.
Did you do that?
Good answer.
And our first place winner in the pumpkin decorating contest is the municipal court's office for their hard work. What a sweet tooth. And since police and court are kind of tied together, there you go. You can hold that for them. Congratulations. Steve's going to take another picture. Okay, thank you. Okay, and the last category is our 2025 office decorating contest. And we would like to congratulate our third place winners, the municipal court, for their hard work and creativity. So we'll just put it up here because they're not here right now. This was really hard. It was difficult, but you found a way to do it. So let's do it. Our second place winners are the Department of Public Works. Steve, you're not taking this picture. For their hard work and spooky vibe. I'm talking about spooky vibe. I see him walk in the neighborhood. It's a spooky vibe. And this is the one I was talking about. Our first place winner is the municipal clerk's office. And if you went in there, there you go. They had to be doing this since July. But for their hard work and uniqueness, come on up, clerk's office. I guess, okay, we'll do that next, though. Thank you.
I just want to thank everyone, especially the directors, the departments. Everyone worked hard. It was fantastic. But now that we flipped the calendar for November, it's really important. The staff will be challenged to focus on our food bank collection. So we put that challenge out to our directors and our staff today. And from now until November 20th, staff members will be challenged to put their focus to the food bank. And there's a couple other challenges in November as well. But thank you, Councilman Socio. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Council, for your support.
Thank you, Ms. Benson. Okay. We are now going to head into the other room for the agenda workshop portion of the evening. The items discussed will be voted on at the November 17th council meeting. So, small break.
I don't know why I'm so cold.
Okay, we are now in the workshop portion of our meeting. Ms. Gallimore, please join us.
Good evening, everyone. I have 3 items, and these are reports of our budget status for the first quarter of fiscal year 2026. So the first one is our general revenues, where our revenue collection is about similar to what it was in the prior year, but there are just a few items that we see where we have an increase in revenues compared to where they were in fiscal year 2025. So for court revenues, last year around this time, they were at about 138,000. This year, they're at 220,000, so there has been an increase with court revenues. I also have an increase in the clerk's office for death certificate. There's a 87%. Last year, they were about 6% at this time, so that's looking great. And we have a few revenues that we didn't anticipate that we're still coming in. So we're off to a good start with our revenue collections for fiscal year 26. Any questions on this report? Our next report are salaries and wages. Nothing unusual here as well. I believe maybe in the third quarter, we'll see a few changes at the beginning of the fiscal year where we usually have promotions or, adjustments of salaries. So from there, we could do a projection of where the salaries would be for the fiscal year 26. Any questions on this one?
So this, it's not a, it's July, August, September, so it's a quarter of the year. So the average should be about 25%.
Yes.
And we're at 23. So it's
So for some departments, say for instance, the administration department, we have one new employee there, plus a portion of their salaries is allocated to a different department. So over the time, I track this and then do the allocation.
Okay, so
Yes.
it'll be
Yeah.
backed out. Okay, so it looks like everything's on par.
And anything above that 25%, I'm also looking at to see, if anything, at some point, we probably would need transfers because we have people leaving, we have people getting promotions. So it will change as we get further into the year. The next item is our budget other expenses report. Again, for some of these items, especially insurance, we pay our assessment, the bulk of it in July, or fire companies, rescue squad, we actually have to hold the funds for the amount that's encumbered for the year. So those would be higher than normal at 75 and 87%. It doesn't mean that we have spent the money. It just means that we're holding the funds for disbursement. And as for our debt service, which is at 90%, the bulk of that is paid in July and August of the fiscal year. Any questions on this?
Thank you, Ms.
All
Kemp.
right, that's it. Thank you.
Ms. Benson?
Good evening, Council President, council members, and township residents joining us. I have 3 items for your consideration this evening. My first item is a resolution for the Governor's Council on substance use disorder. Are there any questions on that? My second item is in regards to the food bank, especially with the Youth Municipal Alliance. Each year, they host drives to collect food in support of North Brunswick Food Bank from November to March. They also collect mittens, gloves, hats, socks, all new items. Those items can be brought to my office at the Senior Center between 8:30 and 4, or if anyone has items and can't drop them off, if they'll let me know that, I can make arrangements to pick up those items. But these items for food are all non-breakable items, no glass jars. It's pasta sauce, rice, cereals especially. And as we get closer to Thanksgiving, they are also collecting turkeys. We'd like to caution everyone to check your food items for no expire food dates. We cannot accept those. We also are collecting gift cards of $10 to local food stores, ShopRite, as well as Target and other local stores. Are there any questions on item number 2?
In regards to the mittens and gloves, did it have to be new?
Yes.
Okay.
They ask if they could all be new items, especially the socks.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
each
I was just talking about mittens.
each of the items,
Yeah.
they do recommend that they are all new. But thank you for asking.
Okay.
The last item, the Mayor's Wellness Fitness Challenge. We are in the middle of one right now, but I encourage everyone, especially through the holiday season and the winter months, to really get involved with the Mayor's Challenge. This is a hard time of year for many people. Depression is key. Feeling of loneliness, and through exercise, it helps you feel much better. So we encourage everyone to participate and stay active and healthy mentally and physically. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Director. Director Battaglia.
Good evening, everyone. I only have 2 things today.
One of them is the authorizing the acceptance of the sales of the abandoned vehicle. And the other one is the authorizing the acceptance and application for the Bristol-Myers Squibb grant that they have given us over the last several years. They've been very good to the police department and to the power program, and they've invested a lot in the youth in North Brunswick, so we appreciate them. And this is another grant for $20,000.
Fantastic. Thank you. Director Ritz?
Good evening, everybody. At the November 17th meeting, there will be a closed session to discuss the CGIS redevelopment plan. The owners of the property will be present, along with additional consultants, including traffic consultants, to answer your questions and review that plan on November 17th. I wanted to take a moment to just quickly bring the governing body up to speed on road work, only because in the last 2 weeks, we've had 3 different contractors all working in North Brunswick at the same time, 2 of ours in the county. So if you haven't seen these things, I just wanted to bring them to your attention. But Middlesex County last week finally ultimately paved all of Old George's Road, following our $4 million water main replacement project. They've been out starting to stripe it, but they did a very good job. And that Old George's Road project, by the way, included not only the paving Route 130 lease line to Route 130 Maple Mead Plaza, but also the small section at Edley's Lane behind the old Chase Bank. That was also fully paved by Middlesex County. Our 2024 road program with P&A construction is winding down. They are on a punch list. They're going to be in town replacing some concrete work in Timber Glen and doing some other things, but they are winding down. And then sometime after the first of the year, we'll have the closeout, but I believe it'll be several $100,000 in our favor in terms of a closeout. I think we may have a $300,000 closeout or something like that, which would be a great number. Lucas Brothers, as part of our 2025 road program, is doing 2 roads between now and Thanksgiving. They are doing Redwood Drive as we speak in Timber Glen, and that will complete a 4-year project to do 100% of all of Timber Glen will be done. And they are also doing the final 3rd phase of Princess Drive, our 3rd year of doing Princess, and that entirely will complete Princess Drive as well. So those were just good hallmarks. And finally, the first phase of sidewalk on Cousins Lane has been completed from Route 27 and the Wawa. It's amazing just in 2 or 3 weeks how many times I've passed and there are people walking down that sidewalk. So we're going to do phase 2 next year. From Wedgwood to Noah, and then we may have to delay the larger phase down to the other end of Noah just because of cost. But that first phase, I think they did a great job, and it's been received very well.
2 questions on the paving. On Redwood, do you guys have that same issue with the cherry blossom trees, or are they trimmed back different that we're all right with it?
We did the same exact thing we've done on the prior 3 phases. We've pruned them back. There's been no objection, no issue. Yeah, that was a healthy project. And in the prior phases, I think we actually had to remove trees and things, but that wasn't dominant in Redwood. We didn't remove any trees.
And the cost saving, we were figuring around $300,000. I mean, have prices gone down for asphalt and stuff like that, or is it just an anomaly?
We'd have to wait for the report from CME, but yeah, sometime. And we've had closeouts of 250, 275, so this just fell in that range again. And it was an early, I'll probably come back to bite me, but I think it's that high a number from what I understand from CME. Jumping to...
I have a question.
Yes, I'm sorry.
How do you determine what roads and streets get paved or attention?
So we have an ongoing working plan. In recent times, we operate in a 5-year window. We are exceptionally behind. We had some reduced capital improvement years that have taken roads off the list. It's a combination of, visual assessment, pavement cores. We actually go out and take cores to see what's going on with the road and its base. Sometimes it's driven by whether or not the water main or the sewer mains need to be replaced based on a history of breaks. So that's a factor. So we're constantly evaluating them. And then sometimes, if you look at our map, and you probably haven't seen it, I'll bring it, Councilman, at the next meeting. We have a map that sort of demonstrates that we're in every section of the township. We've never wanted to be accused that we're only in certain neighborhoods or certain places.
Yeah, because I have a neighbor who's concerned about it.
So we're very careful to make sure that we are operating throughout the township, irrespective of home cost or neighborhood or anything like that. So those are all factors. But I'll share some things with you that you probably haven't seen.
Can homeowners come and find out about their particular area?
I get calls and emails all the time, and we respond, and I try to give them information. Some people are within our 5-year plan, others are not. I say to anybody, everybody wants their road done. Everybody wants it to be next. We really try to make an objective assessment about where we're going to be next and what we're going to do. You understand, in this year's budget, we reduced capital this year. So while we typically may do 7 roads, for 2026, we're doing 4. So, we're all being constrained by cost as well.
Okay. All right, thank you.
On this subject, for my 5th item at the next meeting is the approval of the design contract with CME for the 2026 road program. I'm going to take just a few minutes tonight. I know it's election night. If everybody could just pass one of these. So it's our hope and plan, and rather than just waiting to the next meeting when the ordinance is already being introduced, I wanted to have a brief discussion with you tonight because this is a fairly substantial ordinance amendment and change regarding animals in the township. So earlier today, and we apologize for the delay, you have an email with 2 companion ordinances as they relate to animals. And what we're doing, and this work actually began some time ago, is we are repealing and combining at least 4 different municipal ordinances that covered the management of animals throughout the town. And we're combining them into an entirely new chapter 110 that will regulate all animals throughout the township of North Brunswick. And in crafting the ordinance, we've also been referring to our colleagues in East Brunswick, South Brunswick, and Franklin, and stealing language, as it were, and stealing sections, trying to put together a new comprehensive ordinance. And so that's what the 2 drafts are. What I would like the council to be aware of in the middle section of the summary that I just handed out to you, sort of the major themes of the ordinance. The first is to better define the role and scope of the animal control officer. I think you're aware that recently we've actually hired a part-time animal control officer. And so the ordinance in multiple sections identifies and empowers the animal control officer to take action. The biggest issue that I want to, this ordinance also talks about limitations on animals, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And it does a bunch of things to try to address, quite frankly, major critical issues that we've been experiencing in the past 10 years or more that were not covered in any manner in our code. Our code was silent. And one of them had to deal with maintaining pastoral, or what you would call farm animals on residential properties, and another dealt with fostering cats and dogs. So, for example, we battled for a long time with a home on Cousins Lane who literally had pigs in their backyard, raising pigs, feeding pigs, had a pig pen in an otherwise residential lot in a residential neighborhood. And we literally had nothing in our code to specifically address that. Fostering animals twice in recent years has been a problem for us. We've been in court. We had another residential homeowner in the Route 130 area that was fostering more than 40 cats in her home. Again, we had nothing in our ordinance to control or regulate that. We had another homeowner on Adams Lane who was fostering cats and other animals. Again, we had no local regulations to deal with that. So this is meant to be a new comprehensive ordinance. Hopefully we'll get it right the first time. The reality is it will be subject to amendment in the future as it plays out. We've all been very busy, including my colleagues from the Township Clerk's office. There's a number of areas regarding fees that we haven't met with to discuss whether or not the clerk wants to propose any increase or adjustments to fees. We haven't changed our cat and dog licensing fees in some time, so I'll defer entirely to the clerk if they want to make any recommendations as part of this editing process. But what I would ask you to look at as some highlights are these last 4 items. The biggest one is the limitation on the number of animals that can be in a house. So on the very last page of the 110 ordinance, there's a chart for you to look at, and it just shows you what our neighboring communities are doing in terms of limiting animals. So all we've ever had in North Brunswick, and it's never been in an enforcement chapter, it's only been in our land use chapter, is we had one sentence that said that in North Brunswick you could not have more than 5 domestic pets. We never defined domestic pets. We never said what that meant or what they are. You can see what East Brunswick and South Brunswick and Old Bridge is doing, and I leave this all to your discussion offline over the next 2 weeks with your colleagues, with me, with whomever, about how we might handle this. You can imagine that at any given house, people have different combinations of cats and dogs on a personal level, where Old Bridge is specifying 3 cats and 3 dogs. Administratively, we didn't find that particularly helpful. So this new ordinance is doing 2 things for you to consider, because we know this is going to impact your friends and neighbors. I can't imagine how many dogs and cats we have in town. So this is being rewritten to say that the number is still 5, but specifically cats and dogs. And then we've created something new and different for your consideration. We have to work it out. Council has not reviewed this yet, but we're considering something called an exemptions to limitations permit, which would allow you to go from 5 to up to 8 total cats and dogs. But what it does, in order to apply for that permit, it requires the animal control officer to inspect your home inside and out and verify, based on his professional opinion, that you have a home that's maintained and a property of a size and a home of a size that he feels you can reasonably maintain and house a 6th, 7th, or 8th cat or dog. And it requires you to make yourself available for subsequent inspection if there is a complaint. And it also provides that if you are convicted in court for violating any of our animal control standards, that permit is perpetually revoked. So we are going to give an opportunity. To this point, randomly, in the weeks that we've been doing this, we had a resident come in who has, what was the number? 4 dogs and 2 cats? 5 dogs and 2 cats in their home. Now, they live in a larger home off Route 130 with a larger lot, a largeable size, but that's the kind of thing that we may run into. And so this is administratively our recommendation for dealing with it, is to keep our number at 5, which would be in line with South Brunswick. It would be 1 below Old Bridge, although they say 3 and 3. Again, it would be below East Brunswick, but they also separate out 3 cats and 3 dogs. I know people that have 4 cats, and I know people that have 4 dogs. So the 3 and 3 thing, to me, is the least practical idea of this. But this is subjective, and it's going to impact people in town. So rather than just introducing this next week, I wanted to get consideration and feedback from the governing body. It can be edited prior to introduction, but we're going to propose that we keep it at 5, which it's effectively been, although we're saying 5 cats and dogs, not other animals. And we're trying to establish a framework where you could get a permit that goes up to 8, only with the inspection and approval of the animal control officer. So something for you to consider.
What about other pets?
So looking through, we don't, so the ordinance says that anything else that's commonly purchased at a pet shop, like rabbits and hamsters and gerbils, are exempt. They don't require a permit, and they're not counted in the total. Okay. But the other thing this ordinance does for the first time, it specifically says that in North Brunswick, you cannot have cows, pigs, horses, or any other type of pastoral animal unless you are on a property that's a minimum of 5 acres.
What about birds?
Birds are exempt back in the pet shop section.
Okay.
Okay?
Is snake considered exotic?
I think that's right.
State control what?
I would say snake is exotic.
Snakes.
Snake is.
Well, there's an exotic animal section that's in here, and I have it highlighted. Right now, the number 2 is highlighted, and again, that's at your discretion, whether or not you think the number should be less or more.
What would we consider exotic? Do we want to spell that out?
It's defined when you get into this.
Okay.
You know, I know it's like 19 pages. You'll have to look at the definition, but it's animals that are not indigenous to New Jersey, that are, it's defined, and typically it would include snakes and ferrets and certain other animals. So you'll have to let us know. The second thing, and there's still some elements of this that still have to be edited with council, but on page 10, we're introducing a new cat colony section, which is something that we've never had before. We have at least 2 working cat colonies in North Brunswick that are not managed by any kind of local ordinance or code. And so this establishes some basic regulations. It's modeled after an ordinance that Franklin just adopted literally last month in Franklin Township. So that's something I'd like you to take time to look at. The third is what I mentioned earlier about fostering cats and dogs in the home. It puts a limit of 5. Back on, just like the other number 5, it also says that combined with your own pets, you cannot have more than 8. So these numbers are consistent with the limitation section. And it also says if you're fostering a cat or dog who reaches the existing threshold of 7 months old, that at that point you either can no longer foster or you must register that cat or dog as your own. So you can't perpetually claim that you're fostering a cat or a dog. So we tried to be consistent in those numbers. And again, this is to try to address homes where we had as many as 40 cats in a house. And finally, again, our code was silent, but we have had, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, we have had multiple instances of religious and ritual slaughter in town in multiple neighborhoods as part of religious holidays or practices. And so this just cites this and acknowledges it, but it says it must be done out of public view, and it does make a reference to standards that up until that time, there's a specific reference that all the other humane health elements of having that animal prior have to be maintained. So
What do they do with the remains?
in some cases, as part of that religious practice, they're cooked and they're consumed,
All of it, though.
you know, and then they're
Gotta be-
otherwise.
They don't eat.
And there are
I mean, are they just
some
throwing
towns
garbage?
that have much more detailed, larger ordinances for things like this. We tried to just meet in the middle and recognize as part of an overall approach to animals that it's something that exists, that we acknowledge, but it says it has to be out of public view, and it does establish health standards up until that time that the animal is sacrificed. So, you know, you can't, to be blunt, you can't just, you know, bring an animal home and throw it in a garage for 2 and 3 or 4 days and not tend to it or care for it or maintain it until the time of the religious observation. It has to be otherwise humanely managed. And again, this is all proposed, but these are key elements. I would say that I'm making up the number, but 75% of the ordinance is all of our existing ordinances reworked and put together, and then it's supplemented with all of these new items. So I'll be available over the next 2 weeks. The goal was to try to introduce this on the 1st and have it adopted on the 15th. The ordinance suggests it would take effect January 1st, 2026. I think we do that with an understanding that there can and may be future amendments. But if we can get everybody to a comfort level to introduce it on the 1st, that's been the goal, because so many of these things have just been absent. But at the same time, I want the governing body to have a comfort level, most specifically and importantly over the limitations, over the number of animals. Because you're all potentially going to get calls from ex-resident that says, I have this many dogs or this many cats, and
So is anyone grandfathered in?
there's no grandfather, because if they're grandfathered, they haven't been following our existing regulations, because the clerk's office has never licensed more than 5 pets to a residence. So if it exists, and it may, but it may be existing off the books, and maybe they're only coming in and registering the first 5. You know,
Therefore, it's not grandfathered.
right,
Correct. Okay.
right.
Why are we even entertaining slaughtering animals as being acceptable?
Freedom of religion, that's why. We do not control religious practices.
That's awful.
We could probably cite, I'm sure there's case law.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, we can get into that. And again, all we did was sort of acknowledge it and accept a standard. I don't want to suggest that this is pervasive, but, there have definitely been, in my tenure, at least a half dozen cases. We know this, by the way, because animals have gotten loose and they've been in the neighborhood and it's involved animal control. And so that's been part of this practice, which is why the standards reference the health and care and maintenance of the animal. And so if you violate that, you could now at least be cited and summoned. But it is something that's practically been happening in town for some time. And we have no code about it today. And then lastly, the companion to this is an amendment to our land use section. It really mostly has to do with things, again, that were absent in our code. We had nothing in our code that defined kennels, pounds, shelters, and things of that nature. And so it now defines those uses and it establishes them at either conditional or permitted uses. In some cases, that would allow things, it would allow private businesses to come in without necessarily having to go to a land use board. But for example, we already have the pet resort in town off of Route 1, but that had never been defined. It required them to go to a board. There was a time in town, if you're old enough, that we had an ASPCA shelter on Jersey Avenue. And so there's a companion ordinance to clean this up on the land use side in terms of what's permitted and what's not permitted. And that's just a 2.5-page ordinance that cleans up that and makes it consistent with this proposed chapter. So it's a lot, hence the discussion tonight. Normally we come in and say we're introducing an ordinance, and I felt in this time that wasn't giving enough due diligence. If there's enough concern, edit or whatever, and it has to come off December 1st, it'll come completely off because an ordinance cannot straddle a calendar year. So it would not be able to be introduced on December 15th. It would get delayed until the meeting after the reorganization meeting in January. So, and that if that happens, it happens. But sometimes the deadline is healthy to get your feedback and your edits. Okay? Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Director Ritz.
See you guys.
Okay. Director Boyd?
Good evening, everyone. I have 3 items for your consideration this evening. First one is a resolution authorizing the transfer of a surplus 2015 Chevy Tahoe from the Township of North Brunswick to the Borough of Highland Park. It's going to be for their OEM. Any questions on that? Second item is a resolution authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract with Pioneer Pole Buildings Incorporated for the construction of a pole barn at DPW Garage. Any questions on that one? And my last item is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the contract bid 25013 with the DASCON Group for DPW bathroom renovations. Any questions on that? Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Ms. Progoman?
Thank you, Council President. I have 3 items. The first item, this is authorizing, the township currently participates in several cooperative pricing agreements. This is to participate in another one. This one is with the New Jersey Boards Association. Specifically, the reason for joining this is we're looking to put a 4th co-locator that collects the data for our water meters, and that is authorized under this one. So the first step would be to participate in this cooperative purchasing system. The second item is authorizing an adjustment for 2 water sewer utility accounts. I don't know if anybody has any questions on that. One was for an irrigation break, and another was for some internal plumbing matters that they were seeking a one-time adjustment. And the third item, I'm asking for consideration to be held for further discussion in the future, so I'm just going to ask that one be tabled for now.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Ms. Russo? Okay, item number 1 is minutes for approval for October 20th, our regular council meeting. Everybody okay with those?
Yes.
Item number 2, 3, and 4 are fire company applications. All paperwork is in order. Item number 5 is an ordinance for public hearing and final adoption, ordinance 25-25, which we introduced this evening. And then we have a proclamation for Bristol Myers Squibb. That's all I have this evening.
Council President, we do need a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters and contract negotiations, specifically regarding item T that was on the consent agenda that was tabled. So,
Do we have a motion?
I motion to go into.
Second.
this is a resolution authorizing the mayor and council to enter into executive session. Whereas the mayor and council are mindful of the right of the public to attend and witness meetings of governmental bodies at which public business is discussed and to be involved in all phases of governmental action. And whereas the Open Public Meetings Act nonetheless recognizes the authority of a public body to exclude the public from meetings in certain enumerated instances in which disclosure of matters discussed could endanger public safety, property, or other public interest, or invade individual privacy. And whereas, as authorized by the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12B, the mayor and council have a need to meet in private session to discuss personnel matters concerning the employment, appointment, evaluation, promotion, or termination of a public officer or employee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council will meet in private session at 8:22 p.m. on November 3rd, 2025, to discuss the following specific items: the potential employment of a temporary deputy police chief and contract issues regarding same. Be it further resolved, the matter so discussed will be disclosed to the public at such time as a decision is made regarding the appointment of a temporary deputy police chief, or the matter otherwise becomes a matter of public record. Thank you, Council President.